Yeah, so I was born in a small town in Bihar. My dad was a doctor, so and so there we had pretty much two options. Either you become an engineer or a doctor. So I can see some heads nodding, so they would know. So, and my dad being a doctor, so you can imagine I was under a lot of pressure from all my, relatives and friends that, oh, you got to be a doctor. But looking at how busy my dad was, I said that I definitely don't want to be a doctor. But little did I know that, it was a short-term happiness. I ended up in healthcare anyway. So, and I went to IIT. I mean, lucky enough to get there, and but still, it was very. I was not very prepared to be an entrepreneur. I was still scared to be an entrepreneur. The thoughts were rare. But I still remember, like one time, I went with an idea to my friends, and they laughed. They laughed. They made fun of me for months. And then, what is this idea? And 5 years later, when I shared a link with them about another startup doing exactly what I was suggesting like 5 years before, they laughed at me again. And I was like, but they were like, why didn't you push at that time hard enough? And then I realized that yes, it was my mistake that I didn't push hard enough to actually pursue that idea. And I'm sure that's not the first time it has happened with me. I mean, I'm sure it has happened to all of you. But that is exactly the beginning of entrepreneurship. That's the first hop which you need to make, the first challenge which you need to take to actually believe and get to the next stage. But for everyone else, I think it's our, we should rather than telling them not to do, maybe we should try to support them. But and after IIT, I joined an organization where I really loved the fact that I could create value for my clients, and if I go back to my appraisal sheets right now, all I would see creating value for organization one, I loved creating value for this organization, and my managers were bored that every time, he talks pretty much the same thing. But one thing I definitely realized that it really means a lot for me to actually create measurable value for wherever I am putting my effort. And and one fine day that organization was acquired, and that was the first time I realized that what a culture means for actual motivation of the people. Like on the beginning, if I go with a problem to my manager, they will say that, wow, you have found a problem, now go and fix it. And rather than feeling scared about it, I'll feel very empowered that not only I found a problem, I'm playing a role in actually solving, coming up with a solution as well. And on the other hand, when later on, when I would go with a problem, oftentimes I was told, why were you looking there? That's not your responsibility. And that kind of put me off. We could not continue like that for a long time. So at that point, I did learn that when I look up or I look down, there are two things I want to learn from my managers. One is, what should I do when I become a manager? And the other, which is as important, what I should not do when I become a manager. So since then, and again, from there I'll go back to my hometown now and then on vacations, and I'll go to my dad's hospital. But something used to bother me. I'll see the patients waiting. I'll see the doctors spending a lot of non-core activities in everything what they're doing, which could have been delegated to others. Being someone who would always look for improvement, I would tell my dad, you can change this. Dad, why don't you do it like this? And one fine day when he said, son, I am a doctor, let me do my job. Don't bother me. If you think you are a manager, why don't you come here and change it? Why don't you solve the problem? But that kind of, hit me hard. I did realize that for the number of people we have in our country, there will never ever be enough number of doctors. And on top of that, all the science, medical science which has progressed so far, has the health outcomes progressed in the same, proportion? The fact is, actually, it's not. So I said that, okay, I got to do something. If I really want someone like my dad to change, I need to change myself first. So, I came to ISB for my management, and I with specialization in healthcare. while I was, I wanted to be an entrepreneur at that time, so I was toying with multiple ideas, but one thing definitely, healthcare definitely caught my attention. At first, opportunity to go and shake hands with the most revered president of US, Bill Clinton. Then, of course, opportunity to actually change millions of life, and not the least, last but not the least, $1 million. That was hard to ignore. So even though I was at ISB, I started putting all my energy into this competition, and we were out of, back in 2014, 11,000 teams around the world actually applied in this competition, and we were the final 6 to actually get to the finals, and then we won it too. That was the first time ever in India, and since then unfortunately none Indian team has been able to actually make there, so which we are kind of trying hard to push more Indian teams to get there. But like this year, the number, it has in like 3 years it has increased to now 100,000 teams have applied this year. So that's the kind of scale which we are talking about. But after that, it looked like that once you get to that pedestal, that's like the peak of your everything what you want to achieve in your life. But unfortunately, definitely that was not. There was still a lot to come. And NanoHealth journey, since even after that, has been a lot about emotional strength. Has been a story of constant learning, apart from building a life-saving solution for many. So. At that point in time, we did realize that for the problems kind of what we are looking at is today, if long-term diseases like say obesity, diabetes, hypertension, it's a very different kind of problem compared to what we are used to. Today's healthcare is, if you have a problem, you run for a doctor or you call for help. But for that you need to have a symptom. But when we are talking about diseases where there are no symptoms, it's very difficult to actually go and seek care. So to actually solve that problem, we had to turn the whole entire approach towards healthcare upside down. So what we call as, like, right now the healthcare system is reactive and fragmented. And what we are trying to now do is we have been successfully been able to do is to convert that into what we call as a proactive and continuous care. And it has been a journey of constant evolution, and I think so it has come we have come a long way since then. Again, I think the very important paradigm shift which we are trying to bring into healthcare is, like everyone over here, what are we actually paying for? Are we paying for the access to healthcare? Are we paying for getting the better services? Or are we really paying for the outcomes, which better health outcome? I think that's the big shift which we are trying to bring within the organization, or the way we approach towards healthcare. And that has not been easy to sell to even all our employees who are working with us. But that's where again the Gen Y, we believe, is completely different. Because Gen Y, as we have heard earlier, they are looking for a purpose. And when we give that purpose to them in terms of what is the impact of their everyday's work, then that makes a huge difference in their approach towards work and so on. So, like the few things what we have been able to do, and I'm sure it will be very similar to other organizations, like we do meet, the entire organization would meet every Tuesday. And we have started doing part of that into a stand-up meeting. We'll talk about all the good and bad things over there, and all the where our organization is moving, what's the direction, what are the challenges, and we do see that the people start understanding the purpose, understanding their role into taking the organization in the direction in which we want, and that we believe it makes a huge difference. Another important thing is, like, we act on what we preach. So it gives us a lot of motivation when our employees ourselves go ahead and ask for services which we are offering to others. Other thing is the whole idea of what we call as a flat hierarchy. Now, the most important thing over there is we should allow everyone to question and challenge this status quo. And when they come and question and challenge is very difficult for the managers, because I'm sure they're already busy with everything, and when something is challenged, then that's the first time we're like why. But I think that if you are able to address it actively or proactively, it makes a huge difference. It also allows the people to feel a lot more empowered and a lot more connected to the organization. So at the end, I would just like to say that it's very, very important to celebrate small successes. But everyone over here, we have an opportunity to, and the responsibility to give everyone an environment where we can question, to leverage the entrepreneurial mindset of Generation Y. So, if you are able to do that, I'm sure your organization will grow leaps and bounds, and so will India. So, Jai Hind. So, thank you for listening.